So the Department of Revenue is the agency in Florida that deals with child support issues. So if you have gone to the state asking for assistance with child support, it's the Department of Revenue that you're going to go through. What a lot of people don't understand is that when you ask the Department of Revenue for help, or if you get cash assistance or food stamps or Medicaid, you are actually assigning your rights of child support over to the Department of Revenue. So the Department of Revenue is not actually your attorney. The Department of Revenue is an agency, and you assign your rights to them. And then different agencies in different parts of the state represent the Department of Revenue. So for example, in Broward County, you'd be talking about the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office does not represent the actual parents. They represent the department. And so there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about how that works. And you have to take into consideration that the department probably is acting in the interest of the parent, but the department ultimately acts in the interest of the department. This is so important and complicated for people to understand. So when you go through the Department of Revenue for a child support proceeding, the attorney that's assigned to your case does not work for you. They do not represent you. The parent, they do not represent the parent. They represent the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue is a department of the state. So what happens is when you engage the Department of Revenue, which you might do by reaching out to them and asking them for assistance with child support, you also might do that by getting cash assistance or food stamps or Medicaid. If you get those things, you are assigning your right to receive and collect child support to the state. Now, ultimately, the money that comes from it is yours, although there's a possibility that if you're entitled to child support and you've been getting those state-funded services, that you may owe money backwards to them. So they may have like a vested interest in your retroactive support or your arrears. But it's the Department of Revenue that's making the decisions once you've assigned your rights to them. So if you have gone through the Department of Revenue and you are not getting cash assistance or food stamps or Medicaid, then you can fire the Department of Revenue and hire a private attorney. Do you want to do this? Well, if you can afford it, 100% you do. The Department of Revenue, again, is represented by the attorney, and the attorney works for the department, not for you. And that department attorney has thousands of cases. They are not going to look through financials for income, for other subsidized ways of getting paid outside of your regular W-2 income that private attorneys are going to look for. And those things can have a huge impact on child support. Also, the Department of Revenue is not going to necessarily spend the energy and time on getting someone served or moving the case along that a private attorney is going to. The benefit of the Department of Revenue is that they're free, but there's also a lot of disadvantages, and one of them is this kind of stuff.